Another incident surrounding Ja Morant. The Memphis Grizzlies have suspended Ja Morant after another gun video surfaces. Morant is currently suspended from all team activities pending league review. League also looking into the situation. So I want to take y'all down the Ja Morant timeline of events. March 4th, Morant was shown in a video with a gun. He stepped away from the team. That was the night after the Grizzlies had lost to the Nuggets in Denver. He was in a video with the gun. March 4th. March 8th, Glendale police, they said they won't file charges. Grizzlies say Morant will be away from the team for at least 4 games. March 13th, Morant enters a counseling program, according to ESPN's Adrian Wojnarowski. March 15th, Morant meets with commissioner, gets an 8-game suspension. I believe that he had already served like 5 or 6 games, so he only had to serve like 3 more games of that suspension. That was on March 15th. He met with the commissioner. March 22nd, Ja Morant returned to play. So, first and foremost, when I look at the situation right now involving Ja Morant, I believe that NBA Commissioner Adam Silver, the Memphis Grizzlies organization, both have failed Ja Morant. If you go back down memory lane, when the situation took place in March, they said that Morant went to a counseling program and they suspended Ja Morant for 8 games. And I said at the time that something doesn't feel right here. Like, this doesn't seem like an issue that has been resolved. And and the Grizzlies organization and Adam Silver and the NBA, they said, hey, Morant is ready to return back to the court. He's done the work. He went to counseling. He's been suspended. So we're ready for him to play basketball again. And I said then that if you have an issue, I don't believe that that issue could be resolved only being away from the team for 10 days. That was it. Ja Morant was away from the Memphis Grizzlies at the most, let's say 2 weeks, at the most. And I thought that was an opportunity for the Memphis Grizzlies organization and the NBA to take a stand and show Ja Morant, hey, you keep continuing to act the way that you're acting, you can have basketball taken away from you. I thought they should have suspended Ja Morant for the remaining of the season. He should have been suspended for the rest of the season. And they brought him back after an 8-game suspension, essentially saying the NBA playoffs are more important than Ja Morant as a person and his future in the NBA. That's what they basically said. The Memphis Grizzlies organization and Adam Silver basically prioritized the NBA playoffs over Ja Morant, the human being. And I thought that was a mistake. That's the first thing I wanted to say when it comes to the incident involving Ja Morant. I feel like the Memphis Grizzlies and the NBA, they have both failed Ja Morant. And they have done a disservice to Ja Morant and basically have coddled Ja Morant. And that's the reason why we are here today with Ja Morant involved in yet another incident on an IG live video with a gun in his hand. You never really disciplined Ja Morant to begin with. You never really gave him a harsh punishment enough to understand that this cannot happen. And the NBA is a private, it's its own private, institution, like, so, per se. Like it's not something. It's just private. So if the NBA doesn't want you to have guns in live videos, then they have the right to suspend you as an NBA. It's a private league. It's private. So, like, even though Ja Morant technically, and I'm not sure where Ja Morant was at when this IG Live video came out. I'm not sure where he was, but technically, depending on the state that he was in, he really didn't break any laws. But the NBA is a private league, so the NBA can suspend players for whatever they want to suspend you for. Same with the NFL. Even if you don't break a law, the NFL and the NBA, they both have a right to suspend you if you're doing anything that compromises their brand. It's they're their own private organization. I want everybody to understand that. So yes, Ja Morant could have been in a state where you are able to carry firearms around even without having a gun license. But if the NBA feels like you are tarnishing their brand, they have a right to suspend Ja Morant or any player in that matter. So I want everybody to understand that. But I feel like they did Ja a disservice by basically giving him a slap on the wrist with the 8-game suspension and the fake counseling session that he attended in Florida. That was all BS. I want everybody to know that that was complete BS. Ja Morant wasn't in no damn counseling center. That was all smoke and mirrors, and they did not address the real issue. And that's why we have this issue here still remaining today. That's the first thing I want to say. The second thing I want to say is I see people on social media all over Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. They're saying that Ja Morant needs to basically cut off all of his friends that's in his inner circle. While I do believe that that is partially true, we can't continue to blame Ja Morant's friends. At some point, we got to hold Ja Morant accountable. We got to hold Ja Morant accountable. And he is the star that is in the NBA. It's Ja Morant that is the franchise player for the Memphis Grizzlies, one of the best young players that we have in the NBA. His friends, they don't have anything to lose. They ain't got nothing to lose. It's Ja Morant that has to understand that it's a certain way that I have to conduct myself so I can continue to make a lot of money and play a sport that I love. That's on Ja Morant. That's not on his friends to have to understand and recognize. That's on Ja Morant. I guarantee you that if Ja Morant tells his friends, hey, no more guns, no more going live on IG and putting guns in videos, I guarantee his friends would stop going live and having guns in videos. I guarantee it. But in this particular video, his friend tried to put the camera down once he saw Morant have the gun in the passenger seat when he was holding the gun on the video. His friend tried to put the camera down, and Morant has the gun, and it's like, what are you doing, Ja? Like, what are you doing? Like that, like at this point, I don't even know if Ja Morant even cares. But the reason why Ja Morant doesn't care is because the Grizzlies organization in the NBA gave him a slap on the wrist the first time. They gave him a slap on the wrist the first time. But there's been multiple incidents that have taken place involving Ja Morant. He had an incident at the mall. His mom had got into it or something with a Finish Line employee. He had an incident at a school. I believe something involving his sister. But time and time again, he's finding himself in these situations. And I said before, when he got into the first incident, I said, I understand why him being an NBA player, being young, I understand why he's carrying around a gun. I get it. The man plays for the Memphis Grizzlies. Memphis is one of the worst cities in America when it comes to crime. It's a dangerous city to live in. RIP to Young Dolph. They killed their own in Young Dolph. RIP to Young Dolph. So I understand why Ja Morant may carry around a firearm. I get it. The problem is pressing the live button on IG. That's the issue. And also, Ja Morant has to have security around him. You got to have security around. That way, you don't have to necessarily even carry a firearm because your security has firearms on them. So that's something else Ja Morant has to consider. You got to consider hiring a security team around him so that way he doesn't have himself in these positions where he's carrying a gun around. But I want to be very, very clear. I believe it was stupid for Ja Morant to go live and have a gun in the IG live video. But I don't have an issue with Morant personally carrying around a firearm. He lives in Memphis. I get it. I understand. Young, black, in Memphis, an NBA star. And we know that when you are at a certain level in life, whatever field you're in, whether you're a rapper, whether you are an NBA or NFL player, whatever it is, and you're a public figure, instantly you are a target. You are viewed as a target. So I understand why Ja Morant would feel like he needs to carry around a firearm. I get it 100%. You're a target when you have that stardom as an individual, whether it's rapping, NBA player, football player, whatever it is. Whenever you reach a certain lifestyle or a certain level in life, you become an instant target. So I get it. But the going live on IG is what was stupid. That was the dumb part on Ja Morant here again. But again, somebody in his circle, whether it's his father, and there's reports about how T. Morant, his father, while he did a tremendous job raising Ja Morant, people who know their family, they say that T. Morant is more like Ja Morant's friend than his father. Right now, T. Morant needs to be his father and sit his son down and let his son know you blowing this opportunity. You are literally blowing the bag because Ja Morant would have been eligible this year had he made one of the all NBA teams. He would have been eligible to get, I don't know the exact amount, but he would have been eligible to receive a lot of money somewhere in the future. I'm not sure exactly the amount or what it is, but it was something that he would have been eligible for had he made an all NBA team. And he didn't make an all NBA team because he missed games this year and had to step away from the team. And I like the fact that, I'm going to say this too about Morant. I like the fact after they lost to the Lakers in the opening round of the playoffs, in the post-game press conference after game 6, Morant took full responsibility for the Grizzlies and them basically underachieving as a basketball team. He said, I gotta be a better leader on and off the court. And yet, not even 3 weeks later, you seen on an IG live video, Ja, what's that about? You literally just said in the post-game press conference, in the immediate aftermath, after getting bounced by LeBron and AD in game 6, how you have to be a better leader on and off the court. Yet, not even 3 weeks later, you in IG videos going live with guns again, but again, because he got a slap on the wrist the first time. At this point, Ja Morant, he seems to think that he's invincible. He seems to think that he's invincible. He can't get into trouble. And another thing that Morant got to look out for too, like, it's real individuals who are in the streets. And the one thing that I know about, and you hear it all the time when you talk about people who are in the streets and stuff, people who are really in the streets and who are about that life, it's players and people like Ja Morant who they tell stay away from the streets. They don't want Ja Morant in the streets. Ja Morant has been given an opportunity that you get once, like it's rare. It's a rare opportunity. It's something that not everyone is granted. So you don't have to be on IG live with guns and stuff. You don't have to do that, Ja. You are in a position to make a lot of money and position yourself to have your family set for generations. Real individuals who are in the streets and really putting and really doing stuff in the streets, they tell people like Ja Morant, even myself, they say, stay out the streets. You don't want to be in that lifestyle. And you hear Ja Morant on Instagram live videos and in the game doing gang signs, and he's not about that life. He ain't about that life. He grew up in a two-parent household and had a lot of great things that took place for him when he grew up. Both his parents did a tremendous job raising him. So it's people it's guys that's in the streets right now that's thinking like, what the hell is wrong with him? They tell people all the time, if you ain't in the streets, people who are in the streets, they don't want you to become a part of that lifestyle. You made it. The goal is to make it, and you made it, and yet you still acting like this. Very disappointing in Ja Morant. And if I'm the commissioner for the NBA, if I'm Adam Silver, if I'm the Memphis Grizzlies organization, they got to set a precedent here for Ja Morant, and he needs to be suspended for at least 30 games for the start of next season. At least 30. That's the minimum. If they suspended Ja Morant for half the season next year, I wouldn't have a problem with it. But they got to send a message to Morant that you are not invincible, and the thing that you love the most can be taken away from you. It can be taken away from you, and that's basketball. And again, somebody in his family, in his inner circle, whether it's an uncle, cousin, his father, T. Morant, somebody has to sit him down and let him know, I'm going to just say it, you fucking up. You fucking up. Somebody in his inner circle needs to sit him down and let him know that he's blowing the bag. He's blowing the bag. He really, really is. And again, you don't want to be in that lifestyle, Ja. You don't. You got everything at your disposal, man. You do. You made it to the NBA. You got something that millions of individuals around America would kill. They would give up anything to have an opportunity that you have right now, being one of the young NBA stars. And you're tarnishing your brand when you continue to put yourself in these positions. So I expect the NBA to hand down a hefty suspension for Ja Morant, and they need to really, because at this point, this is just something. This is inexcusable at this point. I mean, and this ain't even been 3 months. It ain't even been 3 months. So I expect Adam Silver and the Memphis Grizzlies to hand Ja Morant a significant suspension, and I'm praying for this brother to get his act together, because I believe that he is one of the most electrifying young players that we have in today's game. And he has a chance to be the face of the NBA as an American if he can get his act together once LeBron James and Steph Curry retire. The face of the NBA could be Ja Morant, but he got to get his act together, and he got to surround himself with the right people. Everybody go and follow Wise Guys on Twitter at Wise Guys _H. Also on Facebook, Wise Guys. And be sure to follow Wise Guys